Hi, I'm Kim Woods from Kaleidoscope Enterprises, and here we are on the new moon. And technically, the new moon was last night at 11:47 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And so typically, I like to do these before we get into the energy of whatever the lunar cycle is. But this time, quite frankly, I eked out a little bit more time because the moon is actually void, which means she's not aspecting anything right now. And so we have a little bit more of a play, if you will, with the releasing aspect. So when the moon is going from full until she reaches her new moon state, she's waning. So it's a really good time to release. When she reaches that new moon state and then she's building to full, it's a waxing time. So it's really good to gather and bring in to really empower, right? But with the void moon, it's also good to release. So again, I squeaked out a little bit more time, which is excellent because yesterday was kind of a pseudo holiday. So I know a lot of people had time off, and I didn't really want to interrupt that beautiful time you may have been having with family and friends. So here we are today. So happy Tuesday. Let's go through the astrology a little bit. The sun and the moon are in Libra. They're kissing, which means that they're blended together, which means your like heart is blended with your being and your personality and your identity, which is really, really nice. So you have an opportunity to kind of tap into your heart space a little bit more. And in Libra, she's ruled by Venus. So that feels really, really good. In that Venus, as we know, if you've seen any writing on it or anything, the other video that I did last week or what have you, Venus is retrograde. She's retrograde in Scorpio. So it's a very deep, intense time. I've kind of titled this time like Big Love. I've titled this new moon For the Love of You. If you want to read it, it's on my Keck Freedom website, or I know I shared it on this Facebook page, so you can go ahead and do that because it's very detailed. It talks about the different aspects of Libra. Libra likes to be calm. Libra loves to love. Libra likes to advocate. So that's one of those pieces that may be a little bit different for you. The writing is meant to give you lots of detail, help you digest it in a whatever manner you want, kind of skim, kind of dive into things if you want. I try to use like bullet points or what have you on really important pieces. So in this case, it's kind of in the middle of the body of the writing, which I go through questions. And it's really about how you love yourself and how you create calm for yourself in your life, how you establish peace and harmony, how you love yourself, and how you advocate for yourself. And those three pieces are really, really big. If you take a step back and look at Libra, she's about balance, right? So there's the balancing of the scales. If you think about it, it's about justice in the scales and to be balanced. And nothing stays in balance and stillness. It's always a moving type of thing. So if you're thinking about Libra and you're saying, okay, Libra's about love, that's kind of the center of the Libran sign signature. But on one side, there's calm and beauty and grace and elegance and sophistication and civility. And on the other side, there's like this freedom fighting and advocacy and justice seeking that feels a little bit deeper, right? So think about how you naturally operate in the world. Think about how you naturally express yourself, and think about it in times of stress when things get heated. Do you normally, take a step back and say to yourself, I am going to absolutely maintain peace and contentedness for everybody, and I don't like conflict. That's one element of it. Or are you that fiery person, kind of the Tasmanian devil that just kind of reacts first and then kind of like says everything you want and then can take a step back and say, okay, now I can work on negotiation and cooperation. Whatever your normal expression is perfect. But in this time right now with Venus being retrograde, with Venus kind of running the show this month in a way that she really hasn't in a while, there are a few reasons for that. I'll just touch on them again in a moment. I just want to finish the statement about her, and she's giving you the opportunity to really dive into yourself and say, what aspects of you do you really, really love and want to blossom and flourish and feed and nurture? And which aspects of yourself are you like, that's not so awesome? I could dim that a little bit. I could change that a little bit. You're not going to want to hear it. You're really not going to want to go there. You have all the opportunity right now to do just that. So it's pretty amazing, this opportunity that you have. So So yay, so let's take advantage of it, right? Like let's go in. I've got some stones here that will help us. I've got some tuning forks. I've got a goddess. I've got a tarot card. You guys know me. It's the learning buffet, right? Like it's take the piece that really speaks to you. Maybe there are two, and really just like kind of wear them, and the rest of them, no worries. Just let those go, because there'll be plenty of you that those other pieces will speak to. So I just like to kind of put all the stuff out there, and you just pick and choose what you like, okay? So just for a moment on the celestial bodies, what's going on? Sun and moon are kissing each other in Libra. Beautiful. Perfection. Venus is perfectly in Scorpio. She hit retrograde last Friday. It was at 10 degrees Scorpio. She's slowly inching her way back. Over the next 40 days, she's going to go ahead and go to 25 degrees Libra, then she'll go ahead and station direct again, and then move along again, literally the same path until she moves beyond. That's where you get all this opportunity for introspection and for really, really, really good inner reflection. So, and the deep dive, which is really great. There are so many other things supporting it though. Just the fact that the sun is in Libra and we get this brush of the moon being there too. There's pure perfection. There's loft. Libra's an air sign. Libra just feels really good. So yeah, let's take this minute to feel really good. I mean, I'm sorry, there hasn't been a lot of opportunity in the energies to be able to just feel really good. So let's just bask in this for a moment. Like, good Lord, hello. Yes to feeling good. Like, hallelujah. Let's just start singing about that. So yay. We also have Saturn is still in the mix. So Mercury's going to be exciting Saturn. So that gives you the ability to really kind of look at things in a very objective manner, to kind of recommit to yourself. Your mind kind of moves into a place that is really supportive and to make commitment. So that feels really good. We've got Venus exciting Mars. So that gives you more like zhuzh and vitality. And Mars is associated with Scorpio. So that kind of like energizes you in a way that's really good. It creates passion and creativity and excitement. It can get a little frustrating. So if you normally run hot, just kind of look at that and just to kind of take that deep breath and just kind of like channel Libra for yourself in that calm, sophisticated way. But if not, if you're usually pretty staid and go with the flow, maybe lean in a little bit. Maybe like excite that solar plexus. We're going to do a great ritual meditation. It's really going to be about the chakra alignment, and it's going to be about grabbing and cleansing that sacral chakra and activating the will, the solar plexus, and bringing everything to your heart and having you connect through your heart. There's much more awareness and mastery in that way for really a deep abiding connection without attachment, but I'll go through that. And thank you, Ivana and Katie Quinn, for giving me that language. That's pure perfection. One other thing I want to talk about is the fact that we still have Venus is opposing Uranus. So she's not exact right now, but she was in the middle of September. She's going to be at the end of this month. She's going to be again, I forget the date. I was looking for my notes. I can't find them. Sometime in December. So she's very much pulling on the Uranus piece. Uranus is about the shock, the awe, the kind of lightning bolt. Uranus is very unlike Saturn in that Saturn will make you work for things, and Saturn is going to kind of weigh you down, where Uranus is going to kind of like burst in onto the scene and say, no, we've got to break this all apart, right? So it's kind of like taking that like grindy, like Saturn, but taking that like huge excitement of Uranus. And remember, they're both harmonizing each other this year. So that feels much more supportive than it typically does. So we have that energy available to us too. And we also have Pluto in the mix. Excuse me. Pluto squaring the sun and the moon. Mercury, I don't have the exact dates. Go to the reading to find that, the writing to find that. Read that if you care about those dates. That is about control, though. That is about letting go of that control. So there are folks that feel very virtuous that they're in control. They like everything to be very well planned out, very thoughtful, very structured. There's nothing really wrong with that if and until it gets obstructed to you, like if and until it becomes a trap or too secure, right? So I want to go into that connection / attachment. I want to go into, there's another really great analogy. Weirdly, it came through a TV show, A Million Little Things. I'm hoping that ends up being a really good show. I liked the first 2 episodes. But one of the actors talked about in a relationship, one person being the flower naturally and another person being the gardener. And that's where I want to go into this a little bit more, because I think that's a really good visual. So think about it. The flower is beautiful. The flower stands there. The flower gets watered. The flower gets fed. The flower gets nourished. That seems like it would be a really good thing, right? So the people that are the flowers, that might feel really, really good and really nourishing, or it could be overly indulgent. And we're going to go into that. Now, same thing with the gardener. The gardener, that feels virtuous, that I'm working, I am the one feeding, I am the one nurturing and taking care, and I'm the one watering, and I'm the one looking at the flower and seeing what the flower needs and what have you. It feels really virtuous and really good, right? Like I'm working, I'm making effort. Like, look at me, I'm kind of the star because I'm the one doing the work. Let's look at the lower expression of each one of these, right? I touched on that flower being a little bit too self-indulgent and really maybe not looking beyond herself to say, what does someone else need? We kind of can get that, right? But let's look at the gardener. Let's look at the gardener. Isn't it way more appealing to some folks to be the one in control? There it is. In control of, when do I water? When do I take care? When do I make sure the sunlight is there? I mean, to the extent that you can, right? So maybe it's a flower pot and you move it where it needs to go, right? Like, kind of look at yourself and say, am I typically the flower, or am I typically the gardener? Start there. Okay. Then kind of go through your intimate relationships. These are the people that you wear. Libra is about commitment in relationship. Libra is about soulmates. Libra is not about the people, that you meet and you kind of have a casual acquaintance type relationship with them. That's not them. This is about your people that you wear in your life, your romantic partner, your children, your siblings, it's not so much family, but it's more the people that you hang out with. If you're really good friends with some of your cousins, for example. Again, we're not going to dive into family. That's later in the nodes. We'll get there when they move into Cancer and Capricorn in November. We don't have to quite go there yet. Let's look at our friends. Let's look at those people that we wear in our life. You probably have 3 or 4. Think about it to yourself and say, okay, am I the flower or the gardener in the relationship? It would be great if in some relationships you were the flower and in some relationships you were the gardener, because that gives you the ability to be able to do both and see how that feels. I would imagine you're typically more one or the other. The other thing that would be great is if you could be both in the relationship. That's what a true partnership looks like. That's what connection looks like, and not attachment. And I'm going to do that for self in a few minutes. But if you think about it, it really is about, are you willing to be vulnerable and saying yes and being able to trust and have faith that someone's going to come and water you, and somebody's going to know what you need, and someone's going to make sure that they're nourishing you, right? There's that. The other piece of it for that flower, isn't it great to look a little bit beyond your own needs? Isn't it great to not be so self-indulgent? Isn't it great to then pick up that watering can and water it for somebody else? So kind of look and just kind of be really honest with yourself and just kind of see, because this will be super, super helpful going forward, right? Now let's look at that difference between connection and attachment. So there's a lot of stuff going on in the world right now, especially if you live in America. There's just a lot. I mean, I can say I have a lot of folks in the UK. There's a whole Brexit thing. I mean, there's just a lot of stuff going on, right? So there's a lot of talk about power plays and control, right? Like look at the stuff that's going on with some of those big, America, quite frankly, is not a superpower anymore. I don't know if America's realized that, but maybe, if you got China doing stuff, you got Russia doing stuff. I mean, I'm taking this to a huge global level, but I'm doing it for a reason. It doesn't feel really comfortable. It doesn't feel great knowing what's going on in the world, but you can be connected and engaged without being attached. And I'm taking it way out just to remove that the attachment to it, right? And the fear about it. I want to move it out into that space first, right? So on social media lately, I've been talking to a lot of folks. You can imagine how many spiritual people I have in my world, right? I have a ton. And there are a lot of folks that are saying, you know what, it's beyond me. I'm going to be the spiritual person. I'm not going to be involved. And I'm really kind of calling them on it, because I'm saying, you know what, if you're standing on your mountaintop in lotus position and the village is on fire, kind of shame on you, right? Because if you have to then go down into that village and light yourself on fire, that's not awesome. But if you can look and you can say, gee, the village is on fire, how can I help? And it could be in a very spiritual way. It could be in a connected way. It could be in really, really aligning with that big, gorgeous, yummy, beautiful energy and creating peace and harmony in the world that way. It could be getting involved in an issue that's really near and dear to your heart and being a little bit more in touch with that and kind of knowing and maybe donating a little bit of your time or donating some healing or donating one of your gifts or products for that. Okay. So that's where having that connection is a much more, I call it equanimity, right? It's that much more mastery of being able to overlook things and observe and have kindness and compassion for it and say, okay, yeah, you know what? Yeah, I see that. I can respond to it versus being completely involved in the muck and really super attached to the outcome, attached to what's happening in the middle of it, attaching to like kind of everything, attaching your own identity to it. So that's pretty huge, right? Like that's pretty huge. Now let's bring it closer. It's not going to be as comfortable. Started it out there because it's much more comfortable, but let's bring it really much closer to you. Where do you get attached to outcome? Okay, I'm going to call on a few different communities. Okay, parents, where do you attach to the outcome? If your children are younger, do you really, really care what they're wearing? I mean, as long as they're warm enough or cool enough or covered in a way that's appropriate. I mean, let's look at that because you're attached potentially without being connected. Because how beautiful is it if a child of 6 or something just wears something because they feel so good in it? Don't be attached. It doesn't matter. So that's a really light example. When they get older and they're in high school and beyond, are you super attached to who they are and where they're going to be going to school and what activities they're involved with and whether they get an award or not? Really look at yourself for that. It's a hard thing to look at. And quite frankly, when you really disassociate yourself and yet you're still involved with social media and you're still watching other people's A-list lives, it's kind of hard to say, yep. Because when my kids get an award or something, I don't really talk about it. Every once in a while I will, if it's a huge kind of thing, but it's up to them. And quite frankly, they're not involved in a million activities where they would be having that type of feedback. So it just kind of works for us. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying I'm not attached to that. It's not better or worse. If your kids are involved in that stuff, great. If you're connected and not attached, perfection. That's my point. Okay, for business owners, okay, are you attached to your results when you put something out there? Of course you are, because you're looking for business, right? But do you have an expectation? Remember this, we did this back in September. Do you have an expectation of something for the outcome that may or may not be skewing what is actually happening? Because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to open up the flow. We're trying to open up, because remember, the month is called balance. We're trying to open that up for you. We're going to welcome big, big love, and we're going to have you see it reflected back to you, but it might not come in the form that you're expecting. It may not come into the way that you may be attached to. You may be surprised about it. Remember, Uranus is involved. There's going to be surprise, right? So if you're looking for, as a business person, more prosperity, if you're looking for more support, if you're looking for clients that are a little bit more in touch with what you do, or maybe you're moving into a different direction and you want to kind of like give them that information and you're kind of pivoting and you want clients to pivot with you too, really look at yourself and say, okay, how can I be connected without being attached? How can I just accept the bounty of the universe coming back to me without saying, oh, I need it to be this way, I need it to be that way, I need it to be this way? This is a catchy thing. This is a thing. Look at your friends. Honestly, look at your partner and say, or look at your prospective partner and say, okay, how do I commit to myself and love myself so much that then therefore I am so lovable to everybody else? How do I give to myself? How do I take away from myself in a very mature way without being attached? Venus wants you to look at love. Venus wants you to look at your discernment. Venus wants to look at your finances. Venus wants to look at your intimacy. She really, really wants to look deep. And basically, everything that's uncomfortable, because she's in Scorpio. So with Scorpio, it's how are you willing to transform? With Scorpio, it's how are you willing to be honest in your wholeness? With Scorpio, it's like, how are you willing to be spiritual yet being here right on earth in a very earthly way? How does that work? These are big, big questions. But imagine at the end of these few weeks, think about it, it's 40 days, and she's not going to be in Scorpio that whole time. She's going to be in Scorpio for 26 of them, and we've already been through 4. So we have 22 more days, 3 more weeks. Yeah, we can do this. No problem. So how are you actually willing to say yes to yourself? And sometimes that means saying no to yourself. So I know, you know, when I went to the goddess, and of course I would have wanted, definitely would have wanted to have Aphrodite. Of course I would have. Love, of course she came in. It's like, and then Thesis came in for order. And I was like, it's really Kuan Yin. Kuan Yin has that equanimity. Kuan Yin is a goddess who decided, you know what, I'm going to come back to earth because the earth needs it so desperately, so compassionate, so empathetic, that loving kindness unconditionally. That's the energy. And it's not that she's indulgent. She's not. But she's willing to be open and willing to have that compassion. Okay, so now where are we going? We've got some stones here. So speaking of that, we have that beautiful rhodochrosite. It's about love. It's about having compassion, right? It feels very Kuan Yin-like. There's a word here. It's a stone of the compassionate heart. So that's really gorgeous. I've matched it with this Nourish and Nurture. It's from Floricopia. I'm just showing you the bottle, and it goes with roses. I'm going to show you a big old gorgeous, look at the gorgeous rose, right? Like, just look at that. We know that the rose has thorns. We know that the rose's petals are beautiful. We know that the rose starts closed in bloom and then opens. How willing are you to open? How willing are you to love yourself and be kind and compassionate to yourself? How willing are you to heal old wounds? Rhodochrosite will help. We're going to implant this during the meditation. Okay, as the rose, we will too. And then I've got sunstone here. Okay, sunstone's a little bit more fiery, right? It's a feldspar. It's got that beautiful flex in there. I'm just going to try to like hold it up to the camera a little bit. It is like a little bit of yellow. It's sun, right? It's super, super sun. It's about leadership. It's about will. It's about joy. It's about like awakening the playfulness in you. So this is a little bit more about saying yes in a way that if you are constantly the gardener, this may help you be the flower a little bit more. Groovy, right? That feels really good. It's about abundance, and it helps heal past mistakes. So awesome. Being kind to yourself. The past is a past. Get over it. Let's go. Honestly, I'm being a little bit cheeky about that, but it's true. Okay, I've got some Hardies here. And that is really about letting go of the past. And that, another Floricopia. And this is wild pansy. Look at the pansies. You're so happy. I think they're upside down, excuse me. So look at their happy little faces turned up to the sun. They're so happy. They're willing to just be. They're willing to just be themselves and just be dancing happily. And if you're in a place where they come out, you know, early in the spring, they're like the only color like really around. They're quite beautiful. So they're courageous as well, which I really, really like. Then the last one is Harmony, and it's sacred basil. I don't have a copy of basil, but you can imagine what basil looks like. And the stone is emerald. Beautiful, beautiful emerald. I'm going to literally hold it against my forehead only because I have green in the background. And so you can see this beautiful other green, like gorgeous emerald. Emerald's so good. Emerald is a stone of successful love. It's that seeker of love. It's that knower of truth. It's the revealer of truth. Okay, so that sounds kind of big, right? But emerald is about trust. Emerald is about opening up your heart. We're really deeply going to go into emerald because that's going to be so incredibly beautiful. So whichever stone speaks to you, if any of the flower essences speak to you, I'm going to imprint all of these during the meditation. So yay. Goddess Kuan Yin, if you want to wear her a little bit, you're more than welcome to. If you want to dive into her energy, go for it, because she's here to help as well. So that feels really, really good. I'm just trying to look to see if there's anything else I want to talk about. The only thing I do want to talk about is some affirmations for you, because again, this is the new moon. This is the time to kind of create something new in your life, to kind of build something, right? So yes, we're in the void. Yes, we're going to release some things. We're going to open our heart to love, right, during this meditation. So what affirmations could really help? Anything around I am love. I am big love. I welcome big love into my life. I have deep, abiding love for myself. If you don't have a soulmate, I welcome a soulmate into my life. I am strong enough to be vulnerable to love. I can be intimate. I can be trusting. I have faith in the universe and the universal love. I mean, I'm kind of running the gamut here. Again, this is the love buffet. The learning buffet. Right now, actually, it's a love buffet. I did not misspeak. I am loved beyond measure. On the monthly notes, I always write that. You remember, you are loved beyond measure. Next week, Get It Done Monday is going to be all about that. Not to be missed. It's going to be unbelievable. But for right now, I'm going to go into some tuning forks because I'm going to like enter meditation that way. That's what I do on the new moon. So of course I have the sun, the moon, and Venus, obviously, right? Like that's just super obvious. So I'm gonna just play those a little bit. I'm going to have Venus be the activator though. Normally I'll do the sun. And with a new moon, I could have done the moon, but Venus retrograde. And then I also have asteroid ones. I've got Juno, Ceres, Vesta, and I think Pallas Athena. Let me just make sure. Yep, Pallas Athena. So just different aspects. The asteroids, I very much associate those with Venus because I feel as if they can help bring out the different aspects of love. Athena, kind of that warrior-like wisdom. Juno, that unbelievable commitment. She's so committed. Ceres, that really, really, really deep nourishing. And Vesta, the being in service to yourself and to others. Like they all have a different flavor. So we're going to open that up with the tuning forks, and then we're going to go ahead and breathe. We're going to align the chakras. Then we're going to do some cleansing and decoupling of attachment in the sacral chakra. And then we're going to bring everything up into the hot chakra. Okay? So let's go. Just take a deep breath. Close your eyes if you want to. Sorry, that was Kitty. Okay, I'd like you to take a nice deep cleansing breath in. Close your eyes if you haven't already. Make a nice deep exhale. Going to imagine the pure white light at the crown of your head. You're going to be breathing all the love and the support and the connection from the universe. Your spirit guides are here, the angels, ascended masters. Everyone's here to support you. Universal love is here at the ready just for you. And as you breathe that in, you're going to be opening up your third eye. You're going to be opening up your throat chakra. You're going to be opening up that great big heart of yours. You're going to be breathing in all the nourishment from the heavens and from the spirit, right into your body, right into those chakras. You're going to breathe into that beautiful solar plexus, activating your will. Breathe into your sacral. You're going to be allowing the full feeling in your sacral. Breathing right into your root, right down into the earth. Breathing deeply, deeply into Mother Earth, knowing that she is here to support you in big love. Loving yourself, loving the earth, loving all of its inhabitants. Go grab her energy deep, deep, deep in the core. Those crystalline structures that are right there. Beautiful, gorgeous. We're going to grab some rhodochrosite. We're going to grab some sunstone. We're going to grab some emerald, and we're going to bring it right up through our legs, through our root, through our sacral, our solar plexus, our heart, our throat, our third eye, our crown, and bring it right up into the heavens. Crystals love to be in the heavens. They're heavenly bodies. They're earthly crystals. They love the connection to both. They love to be opened right up, and they love to support you in any way that they can. So we're going to bring that energy right down through your crown, third eye, throat, heart, sacral, solar plexus combined, root, right down into the earth. The next deep breath we're going to be taking in from the earth, we're going to be drinking in wild pansy and holy basil and the rose for nourishing and nurturing us. I'm going to breathe in all of that beautiful energy right up through our bodies, up our legs, over our hips, through our bellies, our chest, our shoulders, down our arms, activating our hands, right up through our heads, all the way into to the clouds of the universe, to the big spirit. Gorgeous, gorgeous light. We're going to be tapping into Kuan Yin. We're going to be looking to her for guidance on having that loving kindness and compassion and deep abiding love. I'm going to drink her right in, we're going to envelop her all throughout our being. Our cells come alive with her energy. She feels gorgeous. She connects to the earth. And we're fully connected, we're fully centered, we're fully grounded. Feels so beautiful. Now, we're going to take our awareness as we continue to breathe, fully aligned, fully connected. We're going to take our awareness into our sacral chakra. We're going to see what comes up. There's nothing to fear. We're completely safe. We're going to delve in and just see, are there security issues? Are there indulgence issues? Are there attachment issues? We're just going to let the gorgeous stones of rhodochrosite and sunstone and emerald and those beautiful flower essences of pansy and rose and sacred basil just really open us up and be able to say yes to love and yes to joy. And yes to our inner authority as it climbs up into our solar plexus and activating our will to make the right choice for us, to make that choice to be the flower and the gardener for ourselves and for others all the time at once together. We know when we need to be watered. We ask for when we need to be watered. We know to get our own watering can. We know to get it for others. Beautiful harmony is created when we give completely of ourselves and we receive completely from others. There's that beautiful balance with the breath of that inhale, receiving all the loving and support and gorgeous, gorgeous giving that's out there in the universe. And as we open ourselves up to give of ourselves too. And there's this beautiful exchange as we move that energy up into our hearts and we're fully open, we're fully able to receive, we're able to allow bigger and bigger love into our lives, and we're able to give it as well. So let's breathe it all in and let's exhale it out. We're breathing in love and we're breathing out support. We're breathing in compassion and we're breathing out kindness. We're breathing in assistance and we're breathing out helpfulness. We're breathing in unbelievable, infinite, loving that is immeasurable. And we're breathing out the same. We are enveloping the world with this. We see it coming out of us, every fiber of our being. All of our cells are alive with this. If we want to lean into the stones to be able to continue to do this, we've got that gorgeous rhodochrosite and that beautiful emerald and that unbelievable joyful sunstone. If the flowers help us, we've got that gorgeous rose blossoming and opening and being vulnerable to the world, remembering that she always has thorns should she need them. And that beautiful sacred basil that just grows in its vibrant green and just has that full spiciness of taste. And it's very uplifting and it's very invigorating. And the wild pansy with the happiest of faces and the kindest of hearts and the full joyful playfulness of being as innocent as a child. Here we go with that beautiful innocence, with that gorgeous, gorgeous newness and freshness to say yes to ourselves and to every aspect of loving. So say yes to yourself right now. Breathe in a great big giant yes to love and breathe out a great big giant yes to loving. Breathe in a great big yes to trust and breathe out a great big yes to being vulnerable. Breathe in a great big yes to being strong and breathe out a great big yes to having faith. You are connected to the crystalline structure of all that is. That means every inhabitant, every being, every dimension, every time, over space, everything. You are connected to all. Be connected through your heart with equanimity, with that overseeing, with that beautiful empathy and compassion of Kuan Yin for yourself and for others from this point forward. So it is. It is done from now until forever. Continue to breathe in and out. Feel yourself. You're in your body fully. You're aligned. You're connected. You're completely alive. So be it. It is done. Happy new moon. Thank you for joining me. I'll be back next Monday. We're going to be going through an exercise on how to love yourself beyond measure. Enjoy.